guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, "That's My Husband, Not a Shuttle Driver." We were on vacation and stopped on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. We were trying to get in line before it got busy. The plan was my husband would drop me and my daughter off to get in line, then go park the rental car and join us. As he lets us off out front, an elderly woman approaches us. I'm a pretty friendly person, so I smiled at her, and she started telling me she and her friend were German tourists who were separated from their group. Concerned, I looked around to direct them to the help a ticket booth at the falls check-in. Me, "Oh, let's get you some help." German, No, he will take us to our hotel," pointing at my husband. Me, "Wait, what?" "No, he's going to park the car so we can see the falls. This is a private car." German, "Just take us to our hotel," waves her friend over and heads towards the car door. "Our hotel is just up there, he will take us." Me, "Ma'am, this is my husband and our rental car. We just arrived last night and do not know the city. We are here to see the falls too. He is not driving you anywhere." German, "How rude, you must. We are not Canadian." Me, "Well, we aren't Canadian either. I'm sure security can help you get a taxi, or you can call your hotel for their shuttle." German, "I have no phone and no, that will take too long. I am not paying. You are so rude. We are guests in this country and paying a lot of money for this trip." Me, to my husband, "Just go now, leave." Me, to her, "Ma'am, we too are visiting this country and paying a lot for this trip. We're not driving you anywhere. Good luck." German lady continues to scream how rude and awful we are as we walk away. Random people are now looking at my daughter and I like we did something wrong. I had to get security to go check on her. The security guard reported she had her phone out and calling the hotel for their shuttle. She completely waved him off and said they were fine. The next story is titled, "Woman Wants Me Fired from Somewhere I Don't Work," without actually speaking to me. This takes place in a care home where I would visit an old neighbor. I will call her Ruby in this tale. Ruby was basically bedridden and often napped. While she had visitors, she also had a sweet tooth and loved her ice cream. If she was sleeping when I brought ice cream for her, I had permission to use the fridge in the day room to store this. Visitors could also get themselves a drink there for themselves and those they were visiting. Ruby's room door had a squeaky hinge. This plays a role. I went to visit Ruby with some ice cream. I signed the visitor's book and let myself in with the code. As I was closing the door behind me, it was tugged open by the woman in the title. She huffed and nudged past me. Ruby was sleeping, so I put my bag down and went to put the ice cream in the day room. As I passed the next room, the door opened and woman looked out. I nodded and went on my way. I chatted to one of the staff about Ruby and returned to her room. Not to make this too long over the visit, I popped in and out of Ruby's room a few times to get her ice cream, make her a cup of tea, etc. Each time I left the room, the woman would pop her head out and scowl at me. I said goodbye to Ruby at the end of my visit, and as I was signing out, the woman left the office and pointed me out to the manager of the home, who looked puzzled, and the woman stormed out. The manager waited until she left and then burst out laughing. The woman had just spent about 15 minutes complaining that a member of staff had ignored her, not offered her or her mother any ice cream, tea, coffee, etc. Ignored her request for an update on her mother's care, and one of the rude, uncaring, lazy person fired at once. So apparently that was me, the person she had never said a single word to. SMH at that one. The next story is titled, "I Don't Want to Be on the News. Don't Put Me on Camera." I was standing in line to get into the supermarket today, and the person just before me was a surly older gentleman who was not wearing a mask or facial covering and, appropriately, wearing a biker jacket with a big patch that read "Duck Helmet Laws." The store has someone at the door, usually a teenager or an elderly greeter, whose job it is to ensure everyone entering the store has a face covering per their nationwide corporate mandate and under our state law. As the man arrived at the greeter, who could not have been a day under 65, she said, "Excuse me, you need a face covering to enter." He said to the old woman in this macho authoritative voice, "No, I don't. It's okay," and trying to walk into the store. The old woman goes, "Actually, sir, you do. It's not just policy anymore, it's the law. And he starts spouting off about how it's an unconstitutional law and how the greeter isn't in a position to enforce laws. A minute or two pass and people further back who can't see what's happening at the front of the line are getting restless. They begin to try and see what's happening. The guide is saying, "Look, you're holding the line. If the masks really do work, then everyone who's wearing one is safe. Right? And if they don't, then why do you care?" And she was getting kind of desperate at this point and said, "Well, sir, because I could lose my job if I let you in there." This is where I come in. I hadn't spoken up before because this was a big guy and I'm just a student who's no good in a confrontation. I figured adding myself to the mix would only make the situation worse. So I took out my phone and started recording. I figured he would be less likely to do something violent to the greeter or escalate further if he knew he was on camera. Here's what I had forgotten. I was wearing a shirt from a 5K that was sponsored by our local news, so had Channel X Eyewitness News in huge print across the front. The guy's wife goes, "Good Lord, Howley, the news is filming. What if my work sees this? Jesus." So he turns to me and starts telling me he doesn't consent to be on TV, and starts making a speech how we're all treading on the Constitution, not respecting people's rights to bodily autonomy or privacy. I'm trying to tell him I'm not with the news, and he's like, "I don't care if you're on the clock or not. I don't want to be on camera, and I won't be forced to wear anything I don't want to wear. When did we forget that this is America?" Now this is where it got crazy. The line stretched all the way around the building, and people towards the end were realizing it hadn't moved in a while and were coming up to investigate. An even bigger, more macho guy comes lumbering up and asks what the problem is. Sees this guy going off at the terrified elderly greeter, me shaking holding my phone, and is like, sir, what's the problem right now? People are trying to shop." The maskless guy tells him, and I quote, "Get away from me. This here isn't your business." The more macho guy proceeds to whip out a badge and identify himself as an off-duty police officer, and that the law is, in fact, his business. First, he tries to have the cop arrest me for putting him on the news without his consent, but I just played dumb at that point. My adrenaline was through the roof, and if I had been able to retain presence of mind, I would have left by that point and shopped somewhere else. The biker guy is now saying to the cop, "This isn't what you went into the academy dreaming about, man, is it? You're not stopping bad guys, you're forcing regular people to go against their beliefs." Cop said, "No one is forcing you to do anything, sir. You are free to make your own choices. You can put on a mask, or you can go home. Decide which would you like to do, because there is a line here." The biker guy keeps saying he isn't doing anything illegal, and he has a right to shop in a public business, and the cop just shakes his head and starts quoting the official mask law that the guy is breaking at him. But the biker guy is just talking over him at that point, and the cop realizes he isn't getting anywhere. So the cop says, "Look, I don't want to escalate this, but you're not giving me a choice in this situation. If you won't leave of your own volition, you're trespassing," and starts explaining what will happen. The biker guy is ready to stand firm and says he knows he's in the right, but his wife is smarter and says, "Jesus, Howley, are you insane? The man's a police officer," and very ashamedly apologizes as she forces him to leave with various threats. Took nearly 15 minutes to get into the store, caused a major backlog of shoppers, and made a poor elderly woman fear for her safety. Just wear the mask or get your groceries delivered. I mean, seriously, people, of all the hills to die on. The next story is titled, "I'm a resident of this building, ma'am." In 2013. At the time, my then girlfriend, now wife, was about to move into my apartment. I was between two jobs and figured I could do some touch-ups, install a lamp she wanted to hang in the living room, and do other small reparations and replacements that were due anyway. I get home from the local hardware store, park my car, black VW Passat, no company logo or anything else on the car, and begin to unload the stuff I bought. 2 parking spaces away, we have numbered parking. I'm on 25, she's on 27. I noticed a lady unloading moving boxes from her car, stopping in the middle of what she was doing and glaring at me in anticipation. No idea what she wants, but I figured I'll be nice to a new neighbor and said hello with a smile while I moved my stuff to the elevator. I unlock my apartment and get to work. About 20 minutes later, someone rings at my door and the lady, let's refer to her as HC for head case, from the parking lot stands in the hallway with a look on her face like she just gargled lemon juice. Me? Hello. HC. Well, first of all, you have to move your car. I need the space to move in, We have several cars coming and you can't park there even during working hours was about 2 p.m. Secondly, you can do this later and install my internet access now. I don't have time to wait the entire day and this can clearly be done later. Completely dumbfounded by the situation, I just stood there for like 10 seconds trying to process what has just been said. Me? Oh, you are probably confusing me with someone. I have no idea what… HC. Young man, I was 33 at the time, but I'll take the compliment. Don't take me for an idiot. You'll get down to my apartment right now and set up the internet. The kids are cranky enough from the move, and you can return and do whatever it is you're doing up here later. Still trying to process what the duck is going on. Me? Oh, ma'am, I'm pretty certain there's a mistake here. HC. Young man, you guys say right away or I'll make sure you'll regret this. I'm going to inform your boss what an unwilling and unfriendly employee you are. I'll have you fired if you do not install my internet access right away. Me? Ma'am, listen to me. I'm sure you're mistaking me for someone else. I can call the building management and maybe they can figure it out for you. Do you want me to call them? I have their number saved on my phone. HC. You call them right away? This is unacceptable. I pull up the number for our building management, call it, and hand her my phone. After a few rings, HC. Yes, this is MS Headcase. This is absolutely unacceptable. This young man, who's supposed to install our internet access, refuses to do his job and instead is loitering around in this empty apartment. This is unacceptable. I demand that his company is informed. I'm not going to pay a single cent for a service like this. Talking. HC. Apartment number, my apartment number. Talking. HC. What's your name, young man? I give her my name. Talking. HC head turns redder than the stop sign at a traffic light. She mumbles something incoherent, hangs up the phone and stomps away without any further words or eye contact. Still absolutely overwhelmed with what the duck just happened, my phone rings. Me. Hello. BM. Yes, this is so and so from building management. We are very sorry, Mr. Moistalettes X. There was a confusion. MS Headcase apparently thought you were the ISP technician. We informed her that you're a resident and apologized for any possible confusion. Me? Yeah, I tried to tell her that. No worries, nothing happened. Just a weird situation, I guess. While I have you on the phone, could you please take down my license plate? I'll move my car to guest parking so she has more space to move. Went down there and had a few giggles as HC was desperately trying to avoid any eye contact and did a stunning job at pretending I wasn't there. To this very day, over 5 years later, HC has not once intentionally made eye contact with me or greeted me. My wife and I made a somewhat petty tradition out of this by greeting her in a comically nice way every time we meet her in the parking garage. What makes it a million times better is when her husband is with her, who always greets back with a little smirk on his face. He knows. He definitely knows. The next story is titled Mattias, the Karen Crusher. This is a story about a friend, Mattias. He's from Sweden, visiting in the States for a while. He has no discernible accent, but he does occasionally force one for dramatic effect or to catch people off guard. We're approaching the checkout line in a small grocery store, grabbing some Gatorades when we hear it. The howls of a Karen, berating the cashier over an apparently expired coupon. The Karen was a stocky, pale woman of about 50 and short with her hair up in a knot, wearing an unseasonably warm faux fur jacket over her tight t-shirt and shorts that didn't quite cover her ass cheeks. If a blind hooker dressed herself in the dark, you might get something close to this. We only caught the tail end of the tirade, but heard the Karen spewing the typical idiot, useless, and fired, amongst other incoherent grunts and whines and growls. Note, I will paraphrase here, as I can't even write a Swedish accent, so just imagine one. Without missing a beat, Mattias jumps into action, approaching the Karen. "Oh wow," he exclaims, looking back to me in a deliberately embellished accent. "Do you know who this is? This is Miss Sandy Bottoms, the most favored vintage porn star in all of Sweden." I thought he was serious at first, before the subtle wink. So I didn't know what he was doing, only that he was up to something diabolically mischievous. He then proceeds to gush over her body of work, turning his attention to the cashier. He continues, "You must respect this woman, she is famous. Haven't you seen her films? It's not just porn, it's erotic art. She was the mom in Summer I'm Schoolgirls. She practically invented the ping pong ball trick. She was a pioneer. Many people don't know this, but the adult industry used to be very misogynistic. But when she saw a glass ceiling, she blasted through it. firing little plastic pussy balls like a howitzer. I tried so hard to keep my composure, but there was so much wrong with that sentence, tears were welling up in my eyes as I tried not to laugh. To everyone on the planet, I'd like to apologize for my friend. He continues, "Don't laugh, she's won awards." The Karen, now meekly trying to get a word in, "I think you might be mistaken. No, you did win those awards, and you deserve them. Your movie The Equestrian was a masterpiece, wasn't it?" He said, directing that last question to me. I could only shake my head. I didn't dare open my mouth. I knew where he was going now. You have to see it. It's about a nun in a 14th century convent and her forbidden love with a horse. It sounds strange, but the story is beautiful. Maddie is, now looking back to Karen, I even won the online auction for the riding whip you used on Mother Superior in that movie. I wish I had it here. I would ask you autograph it. At this point, Karen is still silent, in absolute shock, wide-eyed, unblinking. Her lips are moving, but no sound is coming out, and she's shaking her head. Then there's a large inhaling gasp, like she had forgotten to breathe until just now, and she scurries quickly out the door, abandoning her shopping and coupons. The cashier is dumbfounded. She has no idea what just happened. Her brain hadn't processed it all yet. She quietly leans forward and whispers, "So, that lady, she's a porn star." Maddie is, now in a totally American accent, says, "No, I have no idea who that idiot was." The next story is titled, "I'm Not Your Uber, or Your Minicab, or a Hackney." Last weekend, we went to visit some friends in North London. We took my wife's car as my EV would need 2 charges on the way, and with young kids, it's just a faff we could do without. Her car is a model that I now know is very popular with various types of taxi driver in London, as it's a hybrid and exempt from the London congestion charge. We left Islington at around 9 p.m. on Saturday evening, heading southwest towards the M25/M3 junction. Kids asleep in the back with privacy glass, so we can't see in. At literally the first set of traffic lights we get to, someone tries to hail me. I drive on. He looks upset. 2 minutes down the road, we're about 7 -8 cars back at some more lights, and 2 girls come skidding over on their strappy high heels and pull at the rear door handles. Luckily, I always keep them locked. Unluckily, they then bang on the glass and shout, "Open the door," which wakes up my now terrified 4-year-old son. I open my window a tiny crack and shout back, "I'm not a taxi." "Yeah, I know. We ordered an Uber. It says here, black Prius," as she points at her phone. "This isn't a Prius, and I'm not your Uber," I replied. The traffic cleared and I drove off. Thinking the madness was over as we got to more major roads with fewer pedestrians, my wife has managed to calm my son down and he's nodding off again. We're on a wide dual carriageway, about 4 lanes across, doing the speed limit of 40 mph when drunk man runs across and puts his hand out to stop me. It's only about 20 past 9 by this point. How he's this drunk, I don't know, but he's run across 4 lanes of traffic to hail me. I have to hammer pretty hard on the brakes. Not quite an emergency stop scenario, but pretty close. Again, I crack the window an inch and shout, "Get out of the road." "No mate, you're I'm in a cab." "Yeah, cab for Steve." "I'm not a taxi, sorry." He's moved round to my window now, so I can just drive off. As I do, he bangs the window behind me again. Didn't wake up the boy this time, but really pissed me off. Now, considering renting a car next time, we go up to London to avoid the confusion. The next story is titled, "I Do Work Here, Lady, Black Friday." This is actually an experience my grandma shared with me. Grandma is 62 and works at an outlet store that's fairly popular in our area. They can wear whatever business casual attire they like there and don't put on their name tags until they clock in. She had to open on Black Friday. They had a crowd waiting at the door. She tried to politely make her way inside and someone said, "Hey, there's a line for a reason, lady. Wait your turn." There was no line, just a crowd milling around the door. Brahma said, "Sorry, I actually work here. I'm going to go open up real quick and I'll see you inside," as she pulled out her keys. Apparently this received a sigh, eye rolls, and zero cooperation. After repeating, "Excuse me, I work here. Excuse me," with her keys out as she wove her way to the door, someone else literally leaned against the door blocking it until she reached around them and put the key in the lock. Finally, she gets the door open, and as she's trying to get in, they all start trying to push in past her. The lights are still off inside at this point. She has to shout, "Excuse me. We open in half an hour. You'll need to wait," and manages to get the door closed and locked behind her. No one apologized after seeing her inside working later or acknowledged their mistake. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.